Welcome to part 2 of Making Better Teaching Files. The next topic we're going to discuss is customization. The Items toolbar, up here in the top right, provides several other options for customizing your sections. Remember that you can delete whatever you add with the big red X right here, and then you can shift items that you add up and down with the arrows in the top right corner. Let's take a look at captions. The Captions button is the second button on the Items toolbar, next to the Paragraph button that we have already discussed. So we have a paragraph right here in our History section. Let's get rid of that to make some space. Now let's add a caption. Click the Caption button. Notice that we have a few checkboxes and then a text box. In the text box you can write your caption, my caption. Captions are useful as paragraph titles if they're visible above a paragraph. They're also useful as answers to questions if the user has to click a button to display them. Ticking this checkbox, Include Show Hide buttons, makes it so that in a case when the user clicks the Show button on the caption, that it shows the caption. So in that case, it's kind of like revealing an answer. They can also serve as links to different areas of a long section if they have jump arrows enabled. So the third checkbox is Jump buttons. So if you have 3 captions throughout a long section, then the jump buttons allow you to jump from one caption to the next. Let's check out some of the other tools. Although it's recommended to place images in the Images tab so that they can be viewed at the maximum resolution, you might find a reason to place smaller images in some of the other sections, like the History section here. Let's go ahead and get rid of the caption that we added so that we can make room for adding some images. In order to do this, we must open the cabinet and select some images. So let's say that we wanted to pick these 2 images. Notice that I was able to select 2 of them. You can select multiple images from the cabinet if you hold down the Control key on the keyboard. So then notice that this Insert Images tool button in the toolbar up here has lit up. If you click that, it will insert the images into the section that you're editing. You can also consider adding captions to these images, like we discussed before. If you're working with a real patient's case, you may have considered placing identifying information within your teaching file, especially if you're using MIRC to archive medical information. To add a patient to a section, click the Insert Patient button. It says PT, and then you fill out the patient's information. Let's get rid of these images to make room. Then I'll click the Patient button, and then I'll add some basic information here. It's strongly discouraged to add patient information in this way because it's a route by which PHI, or Protected Health Information, enters the MIRC database. Make sure to visit the tutorial on HIPAA, PHI, and anonymizing for more on protecting yourself and your patients. So let's go ahead and delete that section. If you have information on an external website you want to show off, click the Insert External Web Page button next to the Patient button, and then just paste the web address of the page you want to display, and then you can change the frame width, height, and you can enable scrolling if you want to. And that'll make a box within your panel that has the web page inside. To test your students' knowledge of the case materials, you may want to add a short quiz. Click the Insert Quiz button, the question mark, and fill out the form. Let's add some information here. So that's the context, and then you can ask a question. And then enter your possible answers. That's the first possible answer. and the second possible answer. And then the responses once they click on the answers. That's an incorrect answer, so we want it to respond incorrect. And this is a correct answer. You can also add additional information there to say why something's correct or incorrect. And of course you can add additional answers using this button right here. And you can add more questions to the quiz using the another question button right here. So that's the end of part 2 of making better teaching files. That was customization of your teaching file. And if you want to customize your images, make sure to look at the tutorial annotating images. Otherwise, go ahead and move on to part 3 of making better teaching files.